Let's be real. Most people don't hate themselves. They hate the version of themselves they were forced to accept because they couldn't afford better. Look in the mirror. You might say, I'm not good looking, or I'm not confident, or nobody pays attention to me. But here's the truth. 90% of what you think is ugly isn't about your genes. It's about your means. Let that sink in. A crooked smile? That's dental work. Bad skin? That's a dermatologist. Terrible posture and low confidence? That's a personal trainer, a good suit, and a mindset coach. The way you dress, your haircut, your body shape, money can fix almost all of it. People don't realize how powerful money is, not because it buys happiness, but because it gives you access. Access to better health, better appearance, better lifestyle, and most importantly, better self-respect. The world treats you differently when you upgrade, and the world listens when you start playing the part. The mirror lies until you can afford the truth. We've all stood in front of the mirror and found flaws. Maybe your teeth aren't perfect. Maybe your skin isn't flawless. Maybe you don't like your nose, your hair, your posture, your style. Maybe you look at yourself and think, I'm just average. Or worse, I'm not enough. Let's get one thing straight. You weren't born ugly. You were born broke. That sting you feel when you scroll social media and see people looking amazing, glowing, styled, confident. It's not just genetics. It's grooming. It's professional photography. It's lighting, filters, skincare routines, nutrition, fashion, styling. You're comparing raw to edited. And here's the truth bomb. Money pays for the edited version of life. Beauty has a price tag. Want clear skin? That's dermatology appointments, clean nutrition, and high-end skincare. Want to look stylish? That's access to designers, tailored clothing, and confidence backed by wealth. Want to feel fit and energetic? That's personal training, a gym membership, clean meal plans, and rest, not hustling 3 jobs and eating microwave dinners. Want a confident smile? Invisalign or veneers cost thousands. Money can't buy self-worth, but it can fund the journey toward it. Your confidence is a budget away. You're not ugly, you're underfunded. You're not unworthy, you're unpolished. And before anyone cancels me for saying this, no, money doesn't make you a better person, but it makes life look better, feel better, and run smoother. It makes you show up better. Imagine walking into a room knowing your outfit is tailored, your shoes are sharp, your scent costs more than someone's rent, and your teeth sparkle. Imagine that level of quiet power. You don't need to be loud when your presence does the talking. That's not vanity, that's strategic positioning. And here's the part they don't tell you in school. People treat you how you present yourself. If you look tired, broke, lost, or messy, people subconsciously assume that's your worth. But if you look elevated, clean, confident, and put together, suddenly, doors open. Not because you've changed, but because perception changed. Stop arguing with reality. You can rage against the system, or you can learn to play it. Do some people have natural beauty? Sure. But the world you live in, especially in America, is a brand-first society. Image matters. Presentation matters. Your Instagram is your resume. Your voice is your pitch. Your appearance is your packaging. And if your packaging says second-hand, don't be surprised when the world treats you like a discount. This doesn't mean you sell out. It means you upgrade. You grind now so your image, your brand, your presence starts to match your potential. You're not changing who you are, you're investing in how the world sees you. Why? Because that version gets more opportunities. That version builds leverage. That version commands respect. Change the mindset from ugly to underinvested. It's not about arrogance. It's about understanding that you are the product. Your body, your energy, your look, your words. This is the product the world interacts with. You are the startup. You are the brand. If your look is outdated, your energy is low, and your presentation is sloppy, then people check out before hearing your brilliance. Think about that. People judge in 5 seconds. What do they see? They don't see your struggle. They don't see your potential. They see how much you've polished what you've been given. Now ask yourself this. If money wasn't a problem, what would you fix tomorrow? That's the version we're chasing. Turn ugly into unstoppable. The most powerful people you see online today, most weren't born into it. They were built. They were sculpted. They invested. They had phases. Broke, awkward, lost. Then came money. Then came confidence. Then came a version of them the world couldn't ignore. That can be you. So next time you look in the mirror and feel off, don't hate yourself. Hate the poverty. Hate the laziness. Hate the excuses. Then go to war with them. Your glow up isn't in the mirror. It's in the grind. Money buys time, time buys transformation. You've heard the phrase, time is money. Let's flip that. Money is time. And when you control time, you control transformation. Think about it. When you're broke, you're not just low on funds, you're low on freedom. You're running from shift to shift, from stress to stress. Just trying to stay afloat. No room for reflection. No space for growth. No bandwidth for health, for change, for better. But when you start making money, you get time back. And time is the real glow-up. The hidden cost of being broke. Stress. Being broke isn't just about not affording the gym, or new clothes, or skincare. It's about the constant mental clutter. How will I pay rent? What if I get sick? How do I afford groceries, gas, and Wi-Fi? You think these worries aren't reflected in your face? Your posture? Your energy? They are. Stress ages you. Poverty shows up in your skin, your eyes, your tone of voice. You lose your glow not because you're ugly, but because you're under chronic pressure. Money removes that pressure. It creates mental bandwidth to dream again, to heal, to breathe. Time. The ultimate makeover tool. When you have money, you get to sleep enough. You eat clean because you're not relying on $1 junk. You go to therapy or meditate, not because you're broken, but because you want peace. You have a coach, a mentor, a nutritionist, a stylist, people who upgrade you. You get to design your day, instead of surviving it. Now guess who looks better? The person who sleeps 8 hours and eats greens? Or the one surviving on fast food and 5 hours of broken sleep? This isn't about vanity. This is about building a resilient, high-functioning, clear-minded version of yourself. And that costs money. Productivity versus hustle. Being broke tricks you into thinking that busyness is progress. You hustle all day, stay up all night, work weekends, and still feel like you're falling behind. Why? Because you're doing low-level tasks with high-level exhaustion. Now imagine this. You wake up when you want, not when the alarm screams. You train with your personal coach. You sit in silence to journal, read, and build your mind. You check your investments, not your debts. You work 3 hours a day on high-leverage ideas, not 12 hours at a dead-end job. You move through life with clarity, control, and calmness. And you tell me, who looks better? Rich people don't rush. Want to know why successful people always look good? They're not rushing. They've bought back their time. They eat slow, walk slow, speak with intention. That's what makes them magnetic. Meanwhile, broke people move fast but get nowhere. Their face says stress. Their eyes say, I'm tired. Their body says, I don't have time to care for myself. That's not an ugly person. That's a time-starved person. And money solves that. Stop shaming success. Society loves to shame wealth. Money doesn't buy happiness. Rich people are shallow. Stay humble. Stay broke. No, that's just a survival mentality dressed as morality. Here's the truth. Money gives you options. Options give you peace. Peace makes you glow. Glow gives you confidence. Confidence creates influence. Influence builds a legacy. And legacy changes everything. Build it. Don't beg for it. You don't need to inherit money. You can build it. Learn a high-income skill. Monetize your knowledge. Create content. Build brand. Sell solutions. Stack skills. Stack value. Stack leverage. Then use that money to buy back your time. Use that time, body, your energy. Suddenly, the person who once hated their reflection now walks into rooms like they own the building. Mental health isn't free, it's funded. Let's get brutally honest. Mental health requires space, time, and resources. And you can't access those when you're constantly stressed about bills, debt, and survival. Money doesn't make you immune to pain, but it does give you the tools to process it. Broke mindset versus wealth mindset. When you're broke, your mindset is reactive. I hope nothing goes wrong today. I can't afford to feel this way. Therapy? I can't even afford gas. You're stuck in a mental loop. Survive. Repeat. Survive. Repeat. When you have money, your mindset becomes proactive. How do I feel today? What do I need? I'm booking a session with my therapist. I'm taking time off to reset and realign. See the difference? One version is drowning in chaos. The other is designing clarity. Therapy, coaching, meditation, none of it is free. Instagram wants you to believe healing is free. But let's be real. Therapy costs $100–250 per session. High-level coaching? $1,000 plus per month. Even meditation apps and retreats come with a fee. Money doesn't heal you, but it gives you access to what can. And that access changes how you carry yourself. Suddenly, you speak slower. You think clearer. You don't overreact. You radiate calm, power, and presence. That's not a skincare routine. That's inner peace funded by financial freedom. Poverty exhausts you. Wealth energizes you. Ever feel drained that you didn't want to look in the mirror? Not because you were ugly, but because you saw exhaustion, resentment, and hopelessness staring back at you. That's poverty fatigue. And money fixes that not by buying fake happiness, but by removing the mental load that's been weighing you down. You stop arguing about money. You stop counting every dollar. You stop comparing, competing, and chasing. You finally rest. You finally breathe. And when you rest, you recover. You heal. You rise. Emotional strength comes with security. Ever notice how financially secure people speak? They're calm. They don't interrupt. They think before reacting. They don't panic when plans shift. Why? Because they're not operating from fear. They know if something goes wrong, they have a safety net, a buffer, a fallback. That's not arrogance. That's the power of preparation that money brings. Confidence is magnetic, and money helps build it. Confidence isn't just about words or posture, it's about how secure you feel in your own life. When your bills are paid, your health is covered, your mind is clear. You move different. You speak with authority. Enter rooms without shrinking. Look people in the eyes. Share ideas without fear of being shut down. People say, "You're glowing lately." No, you're just not scared anymore. Money didn't make you confident. It removed the fear that was keeping your confidence locked up. Hammer and wrench money is a tool. Use it to build your foundation. Let's stop pretending money is dirty or shallow. Money is neutral. It's a tool, and tools build things. When you use money to protect your peace, heal your mind, fuel your purpose, enhance your energy, you stop looking for approval in the mirror. You already know who you are. Your environment is your mirror. You're not broken. You're just in a broken environment. We often blame ourselves for not feeling motivated, not being confident, not looking our best. But the real truth, sometimes, you're not the problem, your environment is. Your surroundings reflect back at you. If you're constantly around clutter, chaos, and low energy, how do you expect to feel powerful, capable, or attractive? Money gives you the power to change your environment, and in doing so, change how you feel about yourself. 1. Your room isn't just a room. It's a reflection of your mind. Ever notice how people in luxury spaces move differently? They walk slower. They speak clearer. They act with control. Why? Because the environment whispers to their brain, "You belong. You are valuable. You are safe." On the other hand, if your daily surroundings are chaotic, messy, dull, or noisy, your mind absorbs that too. Now imagine you have the money to move into a quieter, safer neighborhood. Decorate your space with taste and intention. Light a scented candle and drink your coffee slowly, instead of chugging it on a cracked countertop. That's not just about comfort. That's about training your nervous system to relax, to think clearly, to feel worthy. 2. Silence is expensive and powerful. Have you ever tried to work in a noisy apartment, shared with 5 people, next to a construction zone? Now compare that to working in a quiet room with a view. One drains your spirit, the other sharpens it. Money gives you access to silence, and silence is underrated power. It gives you the mental bandwidth to dream, plan, and heal. Most people don't know they're living in stress until they step out of it. 3. You dress for where you're going, not where you're stuck. It's not vanity, it's psychology. Wearing clean, well-fitted clothes that make you feel good doesn't just impress others. It tricks your own brain into showing up with more presence. Money helps you invest in better clothes, skincare, hygiene products, not to impress others, but to respect yourself. That $100 haircut may do more for your self-image than a $1,000 course. That $50 pair of shoes might stop you from feeling less than in a room full of people. Perception matters. And the first person who needs to perceive you as powerful is you. 4. Fixing ugly isn't about perfection, it's about possibility. Let's get one thing clear. You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be possible. You're trying to look in the mirror and say, "I can see the version of me that I want to become." Money makes that transformation more possible. You don't need a mansion. You need peace. You don't need designer brands. You need dignity. You don't need filters. You need the freedom to express the real you, clean, confident, and clear. 5. Broke environments make you feel powerless. Rich ones remind you of your worth. It's not about turning into a snob. It's about giving yourself a chance to breathe and believe. When your fridge is full, your bills are paid, your place is clean, your clothes feel good, and your time is yours. You move different. You stop saying "I can't" and start saying "I could." You stop hiding. You stop apologizing. You remember who you were before the world made you forget. Money doesn't make you beautiful, but it removes the layers of stress, noise, and survival that hide your beauty. Fix your environment, and you'll see yourself again. You're not lazy, you're in survival mode. Let's be brutally honest. Most people aren't lazy. They're tired, anxious, overworked, and overwhelmed. You can't expect someone to build a business, get in shape, or level up their mindset when they're fighting just to make it to next week. This is the ugliest part of being broke. It traps you in a loop where you're just surviving. You don't have time to dream. You don't have the luxury to fail. You don't have energy to try again. That's not a character flaw. That's poverty draining your potential. 1. Money buys you time. The ultimate asset. When you're broke, your time isn't yours. You're working extra hours. You're taking buses instead of driving. You're cooking cheap meals from scratch, cleaning everything by hand. Every hour is filled with survival tasks. But with money, you buy convenience. You buy rest. You buy time to think, to breathe, to build. You buy freedom from the chaos. And in that freedom, you grow. You finally have the space to stop asking, what do I need to do to survive? And start asking, what do I want to do to thrive? 2. Broke people fix things. Wealthy people build systems. When you don't have money, everything is a band-aid. You patch the leaking pipe yourself. You try to design your logo with a free app. You sleep 4 hours and hope coffee gets you through the day. But when you have money, you build systems. You hire experts. You delegate. You automate. Money isn't just about things, it's about leverage. With leverage, you stop being stuck in the day-to-day. You rise above it. 3. Broke life kills your creativity. Think about it. How are you supposed to write a book, start a brand, or create art when your head is full of, will rent bounce this month? Can I afford gas? Is there enough food? Your brain can't be visionary when it's in survival. But when your needs are covered, creativity explodes. You dream more. You take risks. You build things you once thought were impossible. This isn't about greed. It's about unlocking your purpose. Money is not the goal. It's the gateway to becoming who you're meant to be. 4. Your vision is waiting on your stability. It's hard to think about legacy when you're worrying about next Friday. The version of you that changes lives, that builds generational wealth, that creates impact, that version is already inside you, but it's being smothered by bills, distractions, debt, doubt. Money doesn't make your vision, but it removes the noise, the chaos, the emergency mode, so that your vision can finally breathe. 5. You can't outmotivate a survival mindset. Stop blaming yourself for not being motivated. If you're constantly stressed, constantly hustling, constantly sacrificing sleep, food, joy, that's not motivation, that's survival. Money gives you the space to shift from desperation to intention. You go from asking, how do I get through today, to asking, how do I shape my next 10 years? This is the mindset difference between the 98% who struggle and the 2% who win repeatedly. You can't build the life you want while living in the mindset of survival. Get the money, buy the time, buy the silence, buy the systems, then build like hell. Because once you stop surviving, you start seeing just how unstoppable you really are. Money gives you options, and options change everything. 1. When you have no options, you make bad choices. Let's be real. Most of your worst decisions came from having no other choice. Staying in toxic jobs, saying yes to sketchy clients, delaying your health checkups, borrowing from the wrong people, living with people who drain your energy. That's not stupidity. That's scarcity. When you don't have options, you settle for survival. But when money enters the picture, you stop reacting, you start choosing. You're no longer trapped by desperation. You have freedom of movement, and that changes the game. Without money, you tolerate things you hate. How many people do you know who hate their job but can't quit? Hate their apartment but can't move? Hate their city but can't relocate? They're not weak, they're trapped. Now imagine this. You have savings stacked. Your income flows even when you sleep. You can say no to anything that drains your soul. That's not just wealth, that's power. Money lets you walk away without burning out. You stop begging and start deciding. 3. Money buys mental peace, and mental peace creates greatness. Let's go deep. The real flex isn't luxury. The real flex is silence. No constant noise in your head about bills, debt, your landlord, your boss's mood swings, your kids missing school trips. With money, that voice shuts up, and in the silence, you think bigger, you love deeper, you build faster. Because the ugliest thing in your life might not be your looks, your clothes, your home. It's the mental clutter that poverty brings. Money clears the mental battlefield. Now you can actually win. 4. Rich people don't just live, they curate. Ever notice this? Poor people adapt to life. Rich people design their lives. They pick where they live, down to the block. They pick who they interact with, down to the hour. They pick what problems they want to solve, and which ones they don't even entertain. This isn't luck. This is what money enables. When you're broke, life happens to you. When you're wealthy, you happen to life. You get to say, I want this. I don't tolerate that. This is my standard. That's not selfish. That's intentional. 5. Money creates a filter. Let me explain. When you're broke, you can't afford to be picky. You let in clients, friends, partners, anyone just to stay afloat. But when you're wealthy, you get to filter your life. Only high-energy people. Only clients that align. Only habits that serve your future. Only environments that elevate. Money is the wall that protects your focus. Your time becomes sacred. Your space becomes elite. You don't hustle more. You hustle smarter, with fewer distractions and stronger filters. Options are everything. When you have no options, life is war. When you have money, life becomes strategy. You're not running anymore. You're positioning. You're not begging anymore. You're choosing. Money elevates your identity and multiplies your impact. 1. People don't see you, they see your presentation. Let's be blunt. You could be the kindest person in the room, the smartest, the most talented, but if you look tired, dress sloppy, drive a beat-up car, and speak with insecurity, most people will overlook you. They won't ask about your story. They'll judge your image. And while that's unfair, it's also real. Money gives you the tools to craft your image, not to fake it, but to project your value loud and clear. You walk into the room, and they feel your confidence. You speak, and people listen. You post online, and your content commands attention. Why? Because money gave you the power to present yourself in your best light consistently. 2. You stop playing small. Let's get honest again. So many of you have big dreams, but small execution. Not because you lack motivation, but because you're constantly shrinking yourself to fit limited resources. You take the cheaper route. You accept the bare minimum. You play it safe to avoid risk. That's what scarcity does. It trains you to stay small. But money blows the ceiling off your potential. You take bigger risks. You enter higher level rooms. You fund bigger visions. You hire people better than you to build your empire. You stop asking, can I afford this? And you start asking, what's the return if I bet on myself? 3. Money unlocks leverage. Here's one of the ugliest truths most people never face. Hard work doesn't scale. You can grind 16 hours a day, but you'll always be limited by your own energy. Money fixes that, because money buys leverage. It buys teams who multiply your time. It buys software that automates your work. It buys marketing that reaches thousands while you sleep. It buys investments that earn while you rest. Suddenly, your income isn't tied to your hours. It's tied to your systems. And that shift? It turns you from a worker into a builder. From a hustler into a leader. 4. Money lets you rewrite your story. Your past may be messy. Maybe you grew up poor. Maybe you failed school. Maybe you made dumb decisions. Maybe you were told you weren't good enough. But when you become wealthy, you get to rewrite what that past means. You become the one who made it out. The one who broke the chain. The one who went from nothing to legacy. Money gives you a new script. Not just for you, but for everyone who doubted, everyone who watched, and everyone who comes after you. It's not just success. It's a redemption arc. 5. The real power. Impact at scale. At some point, it's not about designer clothes or fancy houses. That's the beginner level of wealth. The real game? Impact. When you're rich, your influence multiplies. You fund nonprofits that feed thousands. You build schools in areas where kids had nothing. You create businesses that employ families. You produce content that inspires millions. Money makes your message louder, your reach wider, your impact deeper. You don't just upgrade your lifestyle, you upgrade the world around you. And that's how money turns ugly beginnings into beautiful legacies. Your money doesn't just change your wallet, it changes your identity. It gives you the confidence to show up boldly. It gives you the leverage to scale massively. It gives you the chance to rewrite your story and make it mean something bigger. You're not greedy for wanting wealth. You're responsible for chasing it because your life, your family, and your impact deserve it. The truth, most people won't say out loud one. People don't listen to broke advice. It might hurt to hear this, but it's the truth. No one respects the struggle until it turns into success. You can scream your values. You can talk about your potential. You can tell the world how hard you're working. But if you're broke, most people won't take you seriously. Why? Because we live in a results-driven world. And money, whether you like it or not, is seen as proof. Proof that your ideas work. Proof that your discipline pays off. Proof that you're someone worth learning from. When you have money, you don't have to beg for attention people ask you to speak. You don't have to chase validation, your results command it. That's not arrogance, that's just power. 2. Poverty isn't noble, it's dangerous. Let's stop romanticizing struggle. There's nothing noble about being unable to pay your bills, help your parents, send your kids to a better school, leave a toxic job, afford medical care. Being broke doesn't make you humble, it makes you vulnerable. Vulnerable to bad bosses, vulnerable to depression, vulnerable to settling for less in every area of life. And the longer you stay in poverty, the more it becomes your identity. That's not strength, that's survival. You were not born to just get by, you were built to build. 3. Broke people stay busy, rich people buy back time. Here's a mind-blowing fact. Poor people grind more hours, but wealthy people get more done. How? They use money to buy back time. They hire people to clean, cook, manage, drive, plan. They pay experts instead of wasting time learning everything themselves. They say no to distractions because they know the cost of wasted energy. And guess what? That freed up time gets reinvested into higher value thinking, rest, creativity, and big picture moves. The result? They earn even more while working less. Time is the most valuable asset, and money is the only tool that can buy more of it. 4. Money makes people see you differently, and that changes everything. Whether it's a job interview, a relationship, a business deal, or a random social event, people evaluate you the moment you walk in. If you're broke, uncertain, and poorly presented, you're often dismissed before you even speak. But when you show up in control, confident, polished, and wealthy, you are instantly seen as competent, valuable, powerful, desirable. And here's the twist. That reaction changes you too. It boosts your confidence. It removes the insecurity. It allows you to walk through life unapologetically bold. You're no longer hiding your struggle. You're stepping fully into your strength. 5. Rich people don't waste time justifying, they move. When you're broke, you spend hours justifying your choices, explaining your struggle, asking for help, defending your dreams to doubters. But when you're rich, you don't explain, you don't convince, you execute. Your life becomes your message. Your success becomes your proof. Money removes you from conversations where you once had to beg to be heard. Now people listen, not because you speak louder, but because you live louder. 1. Stop feeling guilty for wanting more. Let's be real. Wanting to be rich doesn't make you greedy. Wanting to look better doesn't make you shallow. Wanting power doesn't make you evil. It makes you aware. Aware that life isn't fair, that good people get crushed because they lack resources, that your dreams will stay trapped unless you break through the financial barrier. So stop apologizing for your ambition. You're not too much. You're finally awake. 2. There's no glory in playing small. You weren't born to stay stuck in survival mode. Live paycheck to paycheck. Always be the one asking for help. You weren't made for mediocrity. And no matter what people say, the world doesn't reward good intentions. It rewards execution. The louder you play, the more doors you kick open. The more you level up, the more people you can lift up. So play big. 3. Build a life that doesn't require escape. People often say, I just need a vacation. I just want to escape. Why? Because they've built a life that hurts to live. Here's the truth. When you focus, when you take control, when you earn real money, you can design a life you don't need to escape from. A schedule that serves you. A home that inspires you. A career that excites you. Relationships that empower you. That's not a fantasy. That's what money enables. 4. Work until your ugly story turns beautiful. Right now, you might feel undervalued, overlooked, embarrassed, stuck. You may look in the mirror and only see flaws, physical, emotional, financial. But let this hit deep. The most powerful glow-up isn't just physical, it's financial. Because when your bank account changes, everything else rises. Your self-worth, your style, your energy, your mood, your options, your decisions, your entire reality. Don't run from your ugly story, rewrite it. 5. Success is the best revenge. To everyone who mocked you for dreaming, laughed at your hustle, doubted your potential, looked down on your struggle, let them watch. Let them scroll past your success. Let them wonder how you did it. Don't get even, get rich. Because in the end, your success doesn't need a mic, it speaks loud enough on its own. Final message: you're not ugly, you're just broke. For now, it's time to face it. You're not underachieving because you're not talented. You're not stuck because you're not capable. You're not ugly, you just haven't built the resources yet. But once you lock in, once you commit to the grind, stop making excuses, and start moving like your life depends on it, everything changes. Your appearance changes, your environment changes, your confidence explodes, your energy becomes magnetic. Suddenly, people see you differently, but more importantly, you see yourself differently. That's what money can do. It doesn't just fix what's broken, it unlocks who you were always meant to become. Now, what? Start today. 1 hour at a time. One smart move at a time. One powerful choice at a time. Because the most dangerous thing about staying broke is that you start to believe you deserve it. But you don't. You deserve more, and it's time you proved it.